YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with an updated post-free agency mock draft. 2 rounds, some big-time trades, some new names slide into the second round here. Names to get familiar with. Really excited about this. Yeah, we're post-first wave of free agency. There's still some big names out there that'll be signed, so that could change some things as well. We got some new needs here for teams. Not that it's all about drafting off need. And then some new players moving up and down as we get further along in the film watching process here. A lot more NFL draft content to come. We got, remember, mock drafts on the way. Already did a few of those. We're doing them on walkthemock.com. You see underneath me if you're going to sign up, use code GOATHOUSE. Link in the comments, as well as Twitter, Instagram. That Twitter, breaking news, constant NFL talk. Make sure you follow that, subscribe to that channel for full NFL coverage here. Here's our Twitter. Just constantly talking everything. Anything you can think of, we're talking about it. Follow that Twitter at GoatHouseNFL. And we're doing these member mocks. We got one actually this Saturday. We're going to do more. We're almost full here, but again, we're going to do a lot more of these. These are going to turn into videos. 3 rounds. Everyone's picking their team. Everyone's a GM for a team here. Chiefs, Rams, Seahawks open right now. If you're going to sign up on this website, use code GOATHOUSE. Our Patreon members get first dibs, so if you're signed up top tier on our Patreon, I post the link and then I'll tweet it out, and the rooms are filling fast, and we turn these into videos, so it's gonna be a lot of fun here. Remember, code GOATHOUSE if you're going to sign up for Walk the Mock. To the mock draft, we'll get to that trade in a second. Trevor Lawrence still first overall for the Jacksonville Jaguars, no hesitation there. Let's move on where it gets interesting, actually. I didn't find it that interesting before, but now I kind of do. The Jets with Zach Wilson, who I think is the second best quarterback in the class, of course. If they're going to go quarterback, you tell me they're for sure going quarterback, even though that's not how the draft works. You can't for sure guarantee anything. If you want to guarantee quarterback first overall, yeah, you go ahead and do it. But after that, they could go Justin Fields was my point. If they're going to go quarterback, I think it's Zach Wilson 1, Justin Fields 2. But if they are going to go quarterback, I'm confident with Zach Wilson. But it gets interesting now because the Sam Darnold trade talks have completely disappeared. Now, they're gone, and that's scaring me a little bit. That's scaring me because the Jets need to make this move, the move that is on your screen with Zach Wilson. If they stick with Sam Darnold and try to build around him, the team will be better around him, but what kind of leap could he actually make? I think it could be a small one at maximum there. Quarterbacks they can improve slightly with some change. They don't change completely. They don't have developed traits all of a sudden. So they need to go with Wilson. I'm starting to get a little worried, but I still think, it's such a good fit, and it's such a phenomenal prospect here. People will bring up, these guys aren't, a lot of people bring up, these guys aren't Mahomes. Well, yeah, Mahomes, the way he's playing right now, no prospect is going to be Mahomes. But Mahomes' prospect versus these prospects, that's a different story. So you can't really, bring up elite, polished veteran quarterbacks or close to veteran quarterbacks in the NFL and compare them. Okay, he's not Patrick Mahomes, so we can't take him. It makes no sense. So I'm not really following that argument. I don't think any Jets fans are pulling that one, but some other teams that are attached to their quarterback are. Take Zach Wilson, Jets. Don't think too much about it. I think that's what they'll do. Dolphins, I went back and forth on Jamar Chase, Penei Sewell. They signed Will Fuller, and I was still kind of in on Jamar Chase because Will Fuller is only a 1-year deal. You can definitely add a guy like Jamar Chase. Could be your overall best receiver. That's what Tua needs. He needs that collection of receivers, to get they want to be a pass-first team. You look at the running back situation, they haven't really solved that right now. They weren't really in on that as much as we thought they would be. It probably has something to do with the Packers re-signing Aaron Jones, perhaps. So I kind of thought they would still go receiver, but that you look at that offensive line, it still needs some help. It was better than expected early last year, and then like offensive lines do every single year, it came kind of back down to earth. You see the true identity as the season goes on, and it wasn't too great at the end of the year, and that was another reason why Tua was struggling, in my opinion. Because he's still developing, facing NFL pressure. Fitzpatrick was a little better because he's kind of used to it, and he was taking more shots downfield. So get a lot better with offensive line here at Penei Sewell. You can move Austin Jackson to right tackle. I hope they're not afraid of that. We don't want to move Austin Jackson. Don't put too much thought in, priority on Austin Jackson because then you'll miss out on some great players here. So they definitely need that tackle there, I think, to protect Tua. That should be, with his injury in the past, protecting him is a top priority as well. Jamar Chase wouldn't be a bad pick. I'm just kind of back to thinking this because it's almost, they have to. A lot of talk about them trading down. It's possible. I don't know. I don't have it happening, so obviously I don't think it's going to happen, but it's possible. I think they'll just really like one of these guys where we can't trade down and risk missing on them, whether it's Sewell. They had some surprising picks outside of Tua last year. So somebody's going to take Slater, maybe a little earlier. That's possible. What if they take Slater over Sewell? It's possible. I'm going to go Sewell right now. Patriots trade up with the Falcons. I've been having the Falcons trade back. I would like for them to take the quarterback because this is your opportunity. When you picking fourth, when you have the opportunity to take Justin Fields, Trey Lance, that fits Arthur Smith's scheme, you don't have to worry about it in the future. So that's possible. I'm okay. I'm good with that idea. They just need so much. They have not been able to do much in free agency because the cap space situation. Maybe they'll hit the second wave here. But they need several things. We're getting draft picks. Moving back, getting draft picks, and still getting some stud players is ideal because they can use a number of positions right now, and they want to be able to compete right now. So, and the Patriots, they want to move up. They signed Cam Newton to a 1-year deal with heavy incentives. That tells me they're still looking for their quarterback. That almost tells me they want a young quarterback to maybe learn from Cam Newton. This could be Trey Lance. It could be Justin Fields. They both have some similarities in ways to a younger Cam Newton. I went with Justin Fields, though. I think they'll like his athletic ability along with his arm strength, his accuracy. The only negative for Justin Fields is he holds the ball a little too long here. He kind of, it reminds me of Justin Herbert a little bit. I think with a better-minded coaching staff, I think he can be a lot better at the next level. I think it's kind of one of those guys. I think the Patriots will like him. They trade up to get him. We'll take a look at some trade details that I came up with here. 4th overall pick for the Patriots. The Falcons get 15, so they swap. They'll get a 3rd this year, a 4th this year, and a 2022 first-round pick. The Patriots will be willing to do this. It's a lot, but that's what it will take to go up to 4th pick is very valuable. So the Falcons kind of get that haul. And who knows, maybe this year's 2nd can be involved somehow. Maybe this year's 2nd and a 2022 first and a 3rd and 4th. That's an alternative. It's very possible, but I think these are teams that Patriots want to move up. The Falcons want to move back. It's just who the Patriots want. They've been linked to Mac Jones, too. It's a little early for me for Mac Jones. I have kind of calmed down a little bit on Mac Jones, this time of the year where I start watching more film. But I still, there's some people talking late first, early second. I still like him better than that, but I've kind of gone down a little bit on him, so that'd be too early. But I would love this for both teams, even though the Falcons do seriously need to consider the quarterback of the future here. But yeah, Patriots, Justin Fields, with the team that they're building here in free agency, whether you think they've overpaid guys or not, they've gotten a lot better. They've gotten a lot better here this free agency. So adding a guy like Justin Fields, Patriots, they're back. They are back. Bengals go Jamar Chase. Another team that can go offensive line if Penei Sewell's there, it's a possibility. They could go Rashawn Slater. I think they go Jamar Chase, though. They tried to get Kenny Golladay, so this kind of be that alternative. But that also can mean they didn't really plan on getting a receiver like Jamar Chase in the draft. They wanted Kenny Golladay so they can focus on other things. So maybe they kind of have their focus set on something. So that can mean either thing. It could mean they missed on Golladay. We want to get Chase. It could mean they just had their sights set on not taking that receiver in the first round. And it just sucks that we missed on Golladay. So we could be looking at it 2 different ways here. But they do run 3 receivers quite a bit, with that Joe Burrow offense. Replacing the A.J. Green snaps is pretty important. Jamar Chase can do that, and some has the familiarity with Joe Burrow. It'd be fantastic. Tyler Boyd, I think, is the best slot receiver in football. T. Higgins, he's going to be good. He's already good. I would love this receiver unit. Offensive line is a bit of a problem. There's a bit of a mystery there, too, because they told Riley Reif, we're playing you at right tackle. Does that mean their sight is set on drafting the left tackle, 5th overall, wherever it is, if they move? Or does that mean they're just sticking Jonah Williams at left tackle and they're looking to build guards, which you can do on day 2 of the draft? Again, could mean either side here. But I would like this. In this scenario, it makes sense. The Eagles go Kyle Pitts. They could use a tight end. They can use a receiver. I had that tight end / receiver, so no one gets confused. He could be that Calvin Johnson type guy. He's not going to run as fast as him, but he's that, dominant of an impact, and he can play inline, can play in the slot, can play outside, pair him with Goddard, pair them with those receivers. That helps a lot. It sounds like the Eagles might be in on Deshaun Watson, so maybe they are looking for, to get better at quarterback. Deshaun Watson is a different story. It also may tell you they're not thrilled with which quarterback they may want to take with 6th overall. So if they continue to hold on on to their pick, which I think they will. They could trade back, but I think they will. I think they'll take somebody like this he's the best player available at this point. Lions go DeVonta Smith. I've had this a lot. I think it's a really good fit in a Jared Goff type offense. They don't have this receiver right now. They've added some receivers. They don't have this type of guy that can play outside, inside, can dominate inside, understands defensive coverages already, knows how to find the open seam, the open zone. You can scheme things up for him. I like it. These linebackers are good too for them. Micah Parsons, who could drop. The two linebackers, Parsons, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, I think fit the lines. They could go this early or they can drop in the 20s. It's pretty interesting where those guys will fall. Panthers go Rashawn Slater. Yeah, they need offensive line help. They've signed some insurance policy type offensive linemen in free agency because they needed them badly. They're in on Deshaun Watson, though. I think they'll continue to be until the end. So they may trade this pick. If they're picking here, I don't think they're interested in a rookie quarterback. It feels like it's Deshaun Watson or keep Teddy Bridgewater. So it feels like, could that be smoke? That doesn't really feel like something that's smoke. But I think they'll like Slater. I think they play him at left tackle, be an upgrade there. And he also could play guard at a high level. They need offensive line more than people realize here, and I think they understand that. Moving on to the next 8 picks. We got another trade here. The Colts moving up with the 49ers. We'll get to that. I got the Broncos taking Trey Lance. This is a tough one. They kind of filled their corner hole, but Kyle Fuller's a 1-year deal, so they still could go that. They could trade back, possibly target a better fit. They could go with one of those linebackers we were talking about. I think Parsons a better fit for a linebacker for them. And they could try to find their right tackle here if they feel comfortable one of these guys playing at that high of a level playing right tackle. I went with Trey Lance. Him dropping to 9. This is a guy that would go easily in the top 5 in most draft classes. This is a very good quarterback class. Very good. One of the best, in some time. And I think Patton, the Broncos GM, it's kind of a hunch feeling. I think he's going to like Trey Lance. Trey Lance has that, ability to fit the Broncos offense. It's kind of the guy, I think the Vikings, with Spielman and Patton over there, it's a guy they would like. It's their type of quarterback and some with his athleticism. He can run that play action. He can run their offense. I think they'll like him. I really do. They've been talking about we need to find competition for Drew Lock, and they haven't done that, though. This could be the competition and some, be the starting quarterback, in my opinion. And Drew Lock could get better, but this roster is so good. This roster is so good if healthy that if you just find that legit quarterback of the future that for sure is, they may feel is better than Drew Lock for sure, has the more of the upside as well. And this team's in business, so I went with that. I think they'll like Lance. Again, this could be a number of things, even a trade back. Cowboys go Patrick Surtain. They've stayed quiet. They definitely need another corner. Pair the Alabama corners together, Diggs and Surtain. Would like that a lot. You definitely expect them to go defense unless there's somebody just too good to pass on an offense. A guy like Pitts, possible. The Giants got Kenny Golladay. That was big time for them. Their defense is looking good. It's looking more and more like a complete roster. The questionables are, can Daniel Jones step up now, and can the offensive line protect him? Because I think they were bottom 3 in terms of allowing pressure. So I think they're likely to go offensive line. They could trade back. I think they're just going to get their guy. Elijah Vera Tucker could play guard or tackle for them. I think he could be a Pro Bowl guard, and they got rid of Zeitler. I know people are talking about Lemieux, but you can get a lot better than Lemieux. I don't want Giants fans to be getting attached to that. Some people, banking on Part for right tackle, but you can get a lot better. You got to keep Daniel Jones protected. They're investing in making Daniel Jones as good as he possibly can be. So they're going to add to the offensive line here. I like this fit. Again, he could play guard, tackle. Solder's going to be out after another year, but really you're getting better at, I think, you're getting a possible Pro Bowl guard right away. So it helps Barkley as well. So I think that's the route the Giants are going to take. It wouldn't be a bad idea to trade up and get that legit offensive lineman. That sure thing, even though Vera Tucker's very good, if Slater starts dropping a little bit, because they got a pretty good roster, so they can afford to trade up. If they want to trade up, I don't think they're going to do this, but if they want to trade up and get for sure better than Daniel Jones, get that top tier quarterback prospect, I would love that because I think that can elevate them. You can't be too confident with some things, but I don't think they're going to do that. In this scenario, I think this is what they do. The Colts trade up to take Christian Darsaw. They trade with the 49ers. Pretty big trade up here. And yeah, Christian Darsaw, I'm a big fan of him. I would love the fit with the Colts at left tackle. Going to be a dominant run blocker right away, and they'll help him improve as a pass protector, but he'll be fine, especially in that system. They've been very, very, very quiet in free agency so far. What's very important for them is to add, and they got quite a few needs here actually, but it's very important for them to add left tackle here to protect Carson Wentz. Costanzo retired. And where they sit at 21, they're in a bad spot for finding that fit and that talented guy. They're really the guys down there are mainly right tackles. I don't love them as a fit for the Colts, specifically in that scheme and for left tackle. So they are sitting in a very tough spot where I almost feel like this is what they have to do. So that's kind of why I have it happening. I could see it as well. In the trade, pretty far trade up here. I got the Niners dropping back to 21. Yeah, it is risky because the Colts giving up that first-round pick. It's a lot of value, so I did throw them fourth-round pick back, but they may not even get that fourth-round pick because the value for going up, increases every single year. It is risky because what happens if Carson Wentz, struggles and the Colts? I don't think they're going to end up with a terrible pick, but it's possible. And they just gave the 49ers an early pick. I think they'll be confident it's not the case. I'm confident it's not the case as well. That it's a really good pick next year. So it is risky, but they're running it. They don't have options. They don't have options right now. That really fit, that makes sense. So Darsaw is a fantastic fit. They go up and get him. The Niners looking to move back, get some more pieces. Looking like a pretty good roster, just a lot of injury concerns. So if you can get multiple pieces here and there, I like a certain fit for them where they're moving back. Chargers, another important thing with the Colts, moving ahead of the Chargers and the Vikings, because the Chargers and the Vikings would definitely be, I don't think Darsaw gets by 14. I just don't see him getting by 14, and I'm not guaranteeing the Vikings are taking him. I just don't see him getting by that point. That's kind of the furthest he gets, I think. I think the Chargers and the Vikings would be very, very interested in him. So that's very important as well. Chargers take Jaylen Waddle, the offensive lineman that they would like, Vera Tucker, Christian Darsaw off the board. No reaching for an offensive lineman here. They could trade back, but I would like Jaylen Waddle for them. Get speed at the receiver position. Also helps stretch the field out a ton, and that will get things going for guys underneath like Eckler, but it also fits the Herbert long ball as well, with Keenan Allen, with some of these other guys, but get this elite speed here for them, just big playability. Again, they need offensive line pretty bad, but they can't reach for a guy here, and this kind of takes the offensive line pain away a little bit because, if he's not protected at a high level, let's get guys that can get that separation quick, that fits Herbert ball. And pretty much the same thing for the Vikings. They've done a pretty good job filling some needs on defense and free agency, and they need offensive line bad, but Vera Tucker, Darsaw gone. It's a possible trade back spot, but also something else to bring up. Danielle Hunter, what's going on with him? He's unhappy right now. I don't know. I don't think they trade him, but it's a possibility. And they also, on top of that, they also need another pass rusher to pair with him. I think Kwity Paye is a pretty good fit. I think they'll like guys like Jalen Phillips. They may view as more of a 3-4 guy. The Vikings are pretty picky without the fits, I think. So mainly, Paye or Gregory Rousseau. They may even like away, but I view Paye as a Vikings fit there. He'll be number one on their board, in my opinion. So they grab him. Pair him with Hunter, or could he be taking over for Danielle Hunter? The Falcons trade back. We already went over that. And surprisingly, I haven't taken Caleb Farley here. It might be a surprise to some, the cornerback from Virginia Tech. And I've heard a lot of buzz that Farley is actually going to drop further than we've been thinking. He actually could drop further in this. I just didn't have him getting by this point. So this basically what I've been hearing, maybe this is the earliest he goes. And I think that's because past injuries, he opted out this year. And he's just kind of relies on his athleticism a lot, but that shows a lot of upside at the same time. But the Falcons were in on Kyle Fuller, actually. They were quiet. They weren't trying to make any big moves, but then all of a sudden they were trying to make a big move. Kyle Fuller, they really want that cornerback to pair with A.J. Terrell, get that lockdown coverage on the outside. So that they might view that as a bigger thing here, and I view Farley as a pretty good fit in this new Dean Pease system. I don't actually view corner as the biggest need, and I know most of you won't, but it's something to look out for. They were really in on Kyle Fuller, big-time corner there, so they might be looking for that, and they gain more picks while doing this. The Cardinals' left corner is a giant hole, so it's going to be, it's going to be desperation mode for them pretty much here. J.C. Horn's a fantastic fit. They're going to run a lot of man coverage. They're going to get guys that fit that more. And that's probably why they laid off in free agency. A lot of those free agents are, for the most part, they're more of zone guys. The Cardinals run, and they'll run zone, but they're more of the man and man coverage team. and Horn will fit that. Phenomenal press ability. The concern with him is he might get quite a few pass interference calls early on, so that's kind of the concern with him. But the corners, Farley's kind of fallen down a little bit, but the group of corners, they're actually going up from what I've been hearing right now, so that's pretty interesting. Definitely more of them to talk about here. And then moving on, the Raiders things change for the Raiders. The Raiders. Tevin Jenkins, Oklahoma State tackle. His name, he's actually going up as well. I just like him at right tackle. Will some of these teams view him as a fit at left tackle? That's kind of the question. But the Raiders, they kind of changed their offensive line a bit. They fill needs across the defensive line, including a pass rusher in Ngakoue. But I like some of the defensive line additions here. And with Jefferson, with Solomon Thomas, those are actually fantastic. Ngakoue on the outside. I think they'll be interested in adding more of a veteran corner rather than drafting a guy again. They could go with a guy like Trevon Morag here, but the offensive line, they were able to move on from some guys, Trey, Trent Brown, because they got pretty good depth, but nothing's really set in stone there. Tevin Jenkins could be the plug and play guy at right tackle. I know they re-signed Denzel Good, who can play pretty much everywhere. But I think this is something they'll be interested in. The offensive line is very important to them, and Jenkins' name is soaring up boards, but I do like to fit at right tackle. The Dolphins, I actually go with a pass rusher here, Jaylen Phillips, who I think is the best day one pass rusher in this draft. Ready to roll, make an impact right off the bat. Big fan of his. I'm not worried about the concussions. I think people are blowing it up too much. He had concussions at UCLA early in his career. They pretty much forced him. They have a rule because it's kids. They're kids in school that they're dealing with. If you get 3 concussions in this amount of time, we're cutting you off. You're done. So they wouldn't let him play anymore. Then he goes to Miami. They're a little tougher in Miami. They kind of hide those things a little bit, like the NFL. You get concussions, you'll sit out. Maybe you'll miss a week. You're back after that. So I'm not worried at all, unless something crazy happens. But the Dolphins move on from Van Noy. They've kind of, got some under the radar guys at that. But I kind of feel like they're looking for more of a natural pass rusher here off the edge. And I think they'll like Phillips. I think he kind of fits that hybrid defense where he can put his hand in the dirt and he can stand up at times. I think they'll like him. I think it's a big boost, that defense, that pass rush in general. So I'd like that. Washington goes Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Mac Jones still sitting around. They could go that. They could go offensive line. I think the better ones are off the board at this point. I think it'd be just a little bit of a reach in terms of a fit there. I like the fit with Owusu-Koramoah in Rivera's defense. Add that outside linebacker that can cover, very rangy as well. I mean, this defense would be looking elite at this point. So I think it's a Rivera guy here that he just would not be able to pass on. It's a guy that could go in the top 10. These linebackers are tricky to figure out where they're going to go. The Bears take Mac Jones. The Bears are impossible to figure out. Do they? 1 second it feels like they're in win now mode. 1 second it feels like they're in rebuild mode. Do they want to deal with the young quarterback? I think Mac Jones can start to fall. Like I said, earlier in the video, I said I'm kind of going a little cold on Mac Jones, but not the point where wouldn't like to pick here. I would like to pick for the Bears, here, but it's just tough to say what they'll actually do. They don't really pick in the first round often, so I guess that's part of it as well. But I don't think they'll be able to pass on this. Andy Dalton's a bridge guy. Nick Foles is a bridge guy. So that's why I'm confident in this scenario they would take him. We will see what their plan is, though. I never know with them. 49ers traded back, and they got that corner, Greg Newsome. Greg Newsome soaring up boards. I really like the fit here. He'll fit with them because he'll fit in terms of off man and cover 3, which they'll run a bit of. And he'll be a playmaker. He's a hard hitter, likes to fly up at the ball to make the tackle, whatever it is, make a play. I think they'll like him a lot, and they'll trade back and get picks. I would much prefer this than taking a corner earlier where they pick. I would love this. I don't think there's that much of a difference. Nobody's really talking about it. I don't think there's that much of a difference between Newsome, some of the other guys we'll talk about, and the guys towards the top. So this would be a phenomenal move for the Niners. They weren't afraid to do it with Ayuk. They had their mindset that Ayuk is a great fit. Let's trade back. We can get him back around there. No, they passed on. They didn't trade back for him. They passed on CeeDee Lamb because they had their fit and they made a move with the Vikings there at the back end of the first round. Because they had their mindset. This guy's a great fit here. We can make that move then. I think you can do something similar at Newsome and you can pick up some picks. I just really like the fit. Any of these corners, a couple years from now, we could be saying, okay, he was really the number 1 corner. So that's a guy to look out for. Titans go Rashad Bateman, receiver from Minnesota. Titans actually signed Josh Reynolds this morning, which I like that signing. They could add another receiver here. Bateman, the best available. They did lose Corey Davis. They filled some needs on defense, got that pass rush. But yeah, moving on from Davis, signing Reynolds and drafting a guy like Bateman, your receiver room could actually be better and cheaper at the same time. So I would actually like this a lot for the Titans. And they did cut Humphries as well. So they do need, they would like to have 3 stud receivers out there, and they would in this scenario with A.J. Brown, Bateman, and Josh Reynolds. The Jets go Jalen Mayfield, who I could see either playing right tackle for them or guard. He can start either one. They've had a hard time filling those needs in the across the offensive line. They don't need a left tackle, of course. In free agency, it's been tough, so they add a guy here. And then I had Micah Parsons falling down here at 24. The Steelers would not be able to pass on a guy like Micah Parsons, even though their biggest need might be along the offensive line or a running back even. But Parsons, some off-the-field concerns that's going to concern more teams than others. I guess character concerns. Some teams aren't going to like what went on, what's rumored to went on. So it's tough to say how far he'll fall, if he'll fall at all. All it takes is one team to kind of just forget about what happened. We're going to move on. He's a phenomenal talent. I think he's going to be a really good blitzer, which is, what the inside linebacker Steelers do a ton. You can put him off the edge. He's insanely rangy. The Steelers would not be able to pass on a guy. Mike Tomlin would not be able to pass on a guy like this. Pair him with Devin Bush is getting very scary over there, how good those guys can be. So, it's just a phenomenal fit. It's a phenomenal fit. Value, just too good to pass on. So that's how I had it. Again, him and even Owusu Karamoa could go in the top 10. These are rangy guys on the field and in the draft as well. It's going to be very interesting to see where they go there. Moving on to the back end here, the Jaguars take Javon Mareg. Best safety in the class. I have him higher than 25 on my board, so that he could go a lot earlier. There's some other teams. The Raiders could even take him. We talked about that. He can play free or strong. The Jaguars filled their need at free safety with Jenkins, so they get him for strong. I guess the downside is in that you kind of get the feel that he'd be stuck at strong then. Because he's a pretty good playmaker in the back end at free. So that would be the downside of it, but you really upgraded your safety unit, your defensive, their secondary in general. Jason Oweh, I would like for the Browns. They tried to get a big-time pass rusher in free agency. They missed on that, ended up focusing on the secondary. Fine with me. So they can add a guy here. I think they'll be in on the freaky upside guys to kind of pair with Myles Garrett. These guys got freaky upside, Oweh and Rousseau. Oweh is just an absolute freak of an athlete. I think that'll be appealing to them, so I think they would pull the trigger on him. The Ravens haven't done really anything in free agency, so they can go receiver here. They can go edge, right tackle if they and a lot of them are gone here, so it'd kind of be a reach at this point. But if they lose on Orlando Brown, which we expected that to be a trade possibly, but yeah, right now it looks like their starting edge rushers are Tyus Bowser and Pernell McPhee perhaps, so they could use an edge rusher, and there happens to be one that is a tremendous fit for the Ravens scheme here. That's Azeez Ojulari rushing off the edge in their 3-4, and he can drop back in coverage pretty well, which is important to the Ravens. So I think that's a good fit. I think they'll be in on the second-round receivers. If a guy like Bateman's here, I think they'll take him. But they've been trying to hit on receivers in free agency. They've been missing, so I think they kind of had to plan it. They need to go line or edge rush here. We'll see, though. Saints can go a number of directions here. They do have quite a few needs here. They need a receiver badly, though, for that Jameis Winston ball. It's a high-powered offense, but you need the receivers. You got Michael Thomas, and after that, they got other guys that can play, don't get me wrong, but there's a pretty big drop-off there. Getting a guy with speed like Kadarius Toney could be big time for them. So I like that fit. Would love to pick for them. Tyson Campbell is a name that I think people should get familiar with in the first round here. Realistically, he can go early second, so I'm not guaranteeing anything. But it's a very good corner with insane upside, long, athletic, very physical, good in man coverage, off coverage. The only knock on him is, I think people say Stokes may have looked a little better this year. I think Campbell's got more upside. But the knock on Campbell is he's not a playmaker. He didn't get enough interceptions, which NFL teams aren't looking at how many interceptions a guy got. And also, if you turn on the film, you actually can see upside as a playmaker, reading the quarterback. I think in the right scheme, I think he could be a playmaker, but we don't really need him to be a playmaker. I think pairing him with Jair Alexander would be phenomenal for the Packers. Campbell's a guy that can go a lot earlier than people are saying because of the upside. People remember at this time last year, maybe a little further in, all of a sudden CJ Henderson's name was boosting up. We knew he was probably maybe the second corner taken, but then it became he's for sure the second corner taken. He's got footsteps on Jeff Okudah. He's going to go a lot earlier than we expected. The Jags pulled the trigger on him. I think it's a similar situation, actually. They're both freak athletes, got some length to them, and they're very good and press man, too. That's what coaches like. So Campbell will go earlier than people have been talking. This is another guy. 3 years from now, I could be saying Campbell was the best. We ended up being the best corner. He did, in the draft. I can see that. I'm not saying that, but I can see it. It's one of those guys. The Bills go Gregory Rousseau, edge rusher from Miami here, the freak upside guy. The Bills, they got guys that can get pressure, but they're really struggling to actually get the quarterback. So they can use some help there. And then not to mention Jerry Hughes, Mario Addison. They're almost on their way out here probably. And they do have Epinesa, but kind of the pairing of the future, Rousseau at Epinesa, could be ideal for the Bills there. The Chiefs starting to fill the offensive line. They could use a left tackle, but they could go Lucas Nang. I think they're going to play Kyle Long at right tackle. And I think the guards will be Joe Thuney, of course, big impact pickup, and Mike Remmers, in my opinion. So they could use a left tackle here. A lot of the good ones off the board, I think, would be a reach. They have been in on receivers as well, and they had a guy like Elijah Moore, who's a speedster that's phenomenal after the catch. You could put him in a slot and scheme things open, and that makes teams focus on him, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill going deep. It's a problem. It's a big problem there. So I'd like to fit there. And the Buccaneers go Christian Barmore. They didn't re-sign Ndamukong Suh yet. They could happen. He could go elsewhere. But they could use a guy for the future either way, and maybe just too good to pass in terms of value. We're moving on to the second round. Jags go Zaven Collins here. They filled a lot of needs in free agency. They still got a lot of picks here. And this one is kind of an intriguing pick because you could look at their off-the-ball linebackers, what they're expected to be. Pretty big names. Miles Jack and you got Joe Schobert. If they're going to run that 3-4, that new style defense that they're expected to run, they're going to need a linebacker that could blitz. They're going to need a linebacker that can blitz. They don't have that right now, an off-the-ball linebacker. But that is Zaven Collins, who also could rotate off the edge. So you kind of get a 2-for-1. I think it's a phenomenal fit in this new defense. People may question it just because they got some of those guys, but it is interesting because those are some good linebackers they have, Jack and Schobert, but I don't know if they're that great of fits in this new defense. I'm not saying they're going to play bad or anything, but so you're going to need a guy. Collins you might be taking a rotation guy here with 33, but it'd be so important, the defense. The Jets didn't add a corner yet in free agency. I think Asante Samuel Jr. is a phenomenal fit in Robert Saleh's scheme there. A lot of cover threes. Going to be a playmaker in cover three, so I like that fit. Falcons grab their running back, Travis Etienne from Clemson. I can see them going any route. Najee Harris or my guy, Javonte Williams. I can see them going any route there. Etienne, probably the better one catching the ball out of the backfield, but they're all pretty close, I think. It's Harris showed that, this year. He proved it, and it's a matter of getting Javonte Williams the ball mainly. But you go Etienne. Dolphins get their running back. Alabama guy, of course, Najee Harris. Eagles get their linebacker that they need, Nick Bolton here, who, in my opinion, is a first-round player, high-motor guy, just all over the field, very good, very instinctive. So I'd like to fit there. He definitely fits that new defense there, Gannon's defense. I think he could be kind of like an Eric Kendricks type player there, which Gannon was familiar with coming from the Colts, but before that, the Vikings. Bengals take Landon Dickerson. They could put him at center or guard, so they start to build the interior here. If they do want to play Jonah Williams inside, this could be a tackle. It could be a guy like Samuel Cosme from Texas. Panthers, they lost Curtis Samuel. And then a 1 year left on the deal for Robbie Anderson. They could be looking at a receiver, Terrace Marshall, Joe Brady, a Terrace Marshall guy. He can play in the slot, play outside as well. I think they'll like him as a fit. The Broncos, they could still use a corner. They could grab right tackle here, but I went with the corner here. Maybe too good to pass. Fits Fangio's scheme. Eric Stokes from Georgia, athletic, physical, could be on the rise. Fuller, a 1 year deal there, so Stokes could be an addition. The Lions, I think I had this before. They could be looking at a linebacker. Jamin Davis is named that boost stock is kind of boosting here, so add a linebacker here. in that new unit. The Giants go Trey, another guy that can go in the first round, athletic pass rusher off the edge. I think a good combination of athleticism and strength, seeing with some good bull rushes at times. I think he fits the Giants scheme, 3-4 pass rusher. So maybe a starter right now or the future there at Lorenzo Carter. I've had this before too because I like the fit. Kellen Mond. Kellen Mond could sneak in late one. He could. This is a boomer bust guy. Crazy upside here. Has crazy arm strength, arm talent, insane athleticism, and is familiar with a pro-style offense. All that combined, pretty impressive. So Niners could get the guy of the future. I would like him in Shanahan's offense. I've had this before as well. Levi Onwuzurike. The Cowboys need some interior pressure here, and they get that with the defensive lineman from Washington. The Jags grab Wyatt Davis, familiar with an Ohio State guy here. Norwell could be out, probably one more year left here, so Wyatt Davis could start right away, realistically. The Patriots, J.C. Jackson's still a free agent. He's restricted. I think the Patriots want somebody to take the bait. I think they want that tendered, I should say, free agent. They want that pick, that second-round pick back for that. And Gilmore's got 1 year left on his deal, so they could have added a corner, Calvin Joseph, who's a top recruit at LSU. It didn't work out. He went to Kentucky, played very good ball there, very familiar with some press man coverage, which Bill Belichick loves. I like the fit. Chargers take Samuel Cosme, so they weren't able to take that tackle that they need at the left side in the first round. They get a guy that can start right away here in the second round. Jamar Johnson, a name to get familiar with. I haven't heard much on him, but I'm a big fan. I think he should, and maybe it could end up going second round here. He's a guy that can play free safety or strong safety. Very good in coverage in the free safety position. You can even blitz him from the box. The strong safety position can man up on that tight end, whatever it may be. It's a guy that the Raiders need. I think they'll mainly play him at free, but they can move him around a bit. So that's definitely a name to look out for. One of my guys that's standing out to me, but I have not heard really anything on him. But Indiana had a pretty good secondary. I really enjoyed watching that secondary. So yeah, Raiders like the fit there. Moving on, a lot of new names here as well, but the Cardinals take Lee Mcneil. Not really a new name. I like Lee Mcneil, the best true nose tackle in the class. Cardinals definitely can use an upgrade there. You're going to have J.J. Watt playing on the D-line, need somebody inside of him. Grab a guy like Mcneil. Would like that a lot. Dolphins have their receiver here. Another, somewhat similar to Will Fuller here. Will Fuller around for a year, but you can use both there, with a guy like DeVonta Parker as well. Wallace, a tough dude to try to run you over after the catch, has great footwork, great route running, good speed. The knock on him is mainly Oklahoma State. They kind of stuck him on the right side and didn't allow him to do a whole bunch. So it is a little risky, but I like the upside here. Washington takes Liam Eichenberg here. They can plug him in at left tackle. Going to be a really good run blocking tackle. He's got work to do in the pass protection. He was once known as a first-round pick. I don't like him as a first-round pick because he does have things to work on pass protection, but it is a good pick at 51. I think he lunges a bit, against the better offensive line, pass rushers, and that kind of creates a whiff, but very good run blocker, which Washington does want to do first. They want to run the ball first. Rondale Moore, another guy that could go first. I have him dropping a little bit. It's kind of one of the guys you just get the ball to because he's a freaky athlete, but doesn't have a great route tree. Didn't really run routes for the most part. Just kind of ran open spots. Will give you the ball. But the Bears were looking to add Galladay. Really not the same as Galladay, but they're at this point of the draft, there really isn't Galladay, of course. I think there's, in general, just trying to add weapons. We're going to make this offense more explosive. So maybe too good to pass here. Another guy sneaking in the second round, Tommy Tremble, the tight end from Notre Dame, getting a lot of buzz. He can go second round because he's the best blocking tight end in the draft, and he's a sneaky athlete too. And the Titans are trying to get both of that from one guy. They move on from Jonnu Smith. They want to get a guy that can block a little better, but also can be that sneaky target and coverage, and that is Tommy Tremble. I think the Titans will be all over a guy like that. He could go third round, but he's getting a lot of buzz right now. People love his upside. He's a nasty blocker, so Titans will love him. Would really like this pick for the Colts. Ronnie Perkins, a high motor edge rusher there. I think he'll be way more productive at the NFL level. Oklahoma had to run some stupid stunts. I'm not a fan of there. A lot of those Big 12 teams do that. And he'll have more production off the edge here, and the Colts could definitely use an edge rusher right now. I've had this before. Javonte Williams is my number one running back, has been from some time. It's really close, though. It's really close, but this guy, he's a strong runner. He's got open field speed. I think it's a matter of getting him the ball in the passing game, and he can go to work there. Steelers would get their RB1 with this. Seahawks go Carlos Basham, so kind of the Dunlap replacement, Carlos Dunlap. replacement here, kind of a stronger, big body guy at the defensive end position. The Rams get the Brockers replacement, Davion Nixon. I think it's a pretty good Brockers replacement there. Next to Aaron Donald perhaps, or opposite of Aaron Donald. They'll have a nose tackle on the inside. I'm still confused about that. They had to clear space, but can't believe they got nothing for that Brockers deal. So that's what they go with. I've had this for a bit. Ravens are looking for that, kind of slot receiver to replace Willie Snead that got more big playability. Rodgers going to be a phenomenal pro, I think. So I think they'll like to add him. Browns get their linebacker, Jabril Cox, who can cover very well. Big playability in coverage. Davis Mills soaring up boards, getting a lot of buzz. He had a good pro day, but teams around the NFL like him. Those old school guys like Davis Mills. This is a guy that'd probably be a top 10 pick like 10 years ago. Got that big frame, the strong arm, accurate. He's a pocket passer. I'm not thrilled with, he doesn't have big playability, and I'm not thrilled with his mobility in today's era, but some teams will really like him. I think the Saints are a team that could really like him. There's a lot of buzz around him. Was a top recruit too, so just didn't really get the opportunity to showcase that fully. Small school kid that's getting a lot of buzz. Got to watch out for Robert Rochelle from Central Arkansas. The Bills looking for a corner. I think he really fits their scheme. You start to watch him more. It's hard to watch Central Arkansas guys. You start to watch him more. I really like him in that zone coverage they have. I mean, he's the combination of athleticism and strength. Whenever they want to play man, I think he can do that. But I think he can be a playmaker. He's got an ultimate upside, freak athlete guy here. So that's a name to watch out for, second or third round. Another one, Milton Williams, a big Milton Williams guy. Very productive at LA Tech. Another freak of an athlete. And I think the Packers will like him, pairing him with Kenny Clark, playing him at that 3-4 defensive end role, which they desperately need. I would love that pick. Chiefs get Alex Leatherwood, can compete with Lucas Nang for that left tackle spot, could also play guard. And the Buccaneers kind of get that pass rusher of the future, who also you can line up off the ball and he can blitz as well. So it's kind of the future Jason Pierre-Paul, but also future Levante David in a way too. Asai can do. He's not going to be able to cover like Levante David, but mainly going to be a pass rusher that you can do unique things with there. So they're looking out for their future, a team that is pretty set in terms of starters with a complete roster. I really like these fits. I like these guys that are sneaking up on boards or my board. And a lot of people haven't talked about some of these guys, but they will start to. We're in draft season now where it's more of this content, and we're learning more and more about what team direction they're going to go, the stock of players. So we'll see what happens. Can't wait to continue to cover it. Can't wait for the draft. Full off-season content, whether it's free agency, NFL draft, on the channel. A lot more to come. So join us. Smash that like button. Subscribe. Turn notifications on. Follow our Twitter. And check out Walk the Mock and all those other links. They're all pinned in the comment section or in the description if you can't find them there. But that is going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.